In Ubuntu 18.04, the desktop environment that gets installed by default is called the GNOME shell or GNOME shell. For many previous releases, the desktop environment was called Unity. Canonical decided to change the desktop environment in version 17.10, and for the foreseeable future, we'll have GNOME as the visual desktop interface instead. GNOME is the default, but you can install other desktop environments on Ubuntu if you're so inclined. When we first log into a new user, we're presented with a What's New in Ubuntu screen. I'll click the green Next button to go through this process and get to the desktop. Up at the very top of the screen, there's a bar with the Activities button, the clock and calendar, and some system status icons. These show the network status, the audio volume, the battery charge if you're on a laptop, and if you click this area, the status menu opens up, where you can control these elements, lock the screen, and power off or restart the system. This top bar also becomes the application menu when you open up an app. Along the side, there's the launcher, where you can put shortcuts to programs you use frequently. This can be hidden, as we'll see later. And taking up the majority of the screen is the desktop, as you might be familiar with from Windows or the Mac operating system. I'll click on Activities, and that brings up an area where I can switch between windows that are open and where I can type to search for programs. I can click this little grid of dots here, which brings up a display of the software installed on the system. Along the right side of the screen, there's a list of workspaces, virtual desktops that I can move app windows to, and I can switch between them by pressing Ctrl-Alt-Up and Ctrl-Alt-Down. I'll click on the Activities button again and click here in the search bar, and I'll type music. I can see that the system is showing me a music player. We'll take a look at that later. And files and folders that match that word. In this case, my music folder inside my home folder. I also get results that match from the Ubuntu Software Store, the app that lets you browse for new software to install on your system. There's a software synthesizer and an application to create sheet music. Those sound interesting, but I'll cancel this for now by pressing Escape. Going back to the list of apps, which I got to by clicking the dots in the lower left, I can see a variety of software that's already installed here. Right-clicking on an application gives me a menu where I can choose to open a new window of the app, add it to my favorites on the launcher, or show some details about the software. Let's add this app to my favorites on the left side. Once I've started using some apps, they'll show up in the Frequent section here. And All contains a list of all of the GUI apps for this environment. To see them all, I can scroll up and down with the mouse, or I can click on these buttons here. I can get out of this view with Escape, and I can call it back up again by pressing the Start or Command key on my keyboard, or just by clicking the Activities button again. I'll open up a few apps here, just to have something open. Notice how when I open up an app, the top bar changes to the App menu, where I can click the app name and see the menu for that application. I can switch between apps that are open using Alt-Tab, like on Windows, moving left and right amongst the open apps, or Alt-Shift-Tab to move right to left. And if there's an app with more than one window open, I can switch between those in the switcher, or move between them with Alt-Backtick, which on the US English keyboard is up in the upper left, above Tab and to the left of the number 1. In the app switcher, still holding the Alt key, I can press Q to quit the selected application. I can maximize an application window by dragging it up to the top of the screen, releasing it when I see the color highlight. Clicking and dragging back down from the top returns the window to the previous size. I can do the same thing with the sides of the screen to snap an application to the left or right half of the desktop. This is useful for putting two apps side by side. Take a moment to familiarize yourself with working in GNOME. As you use it, things will feel more natural.